Audio Jungle.
Hi, I'm Novel Rosie, and I'm here talking to my future self, and I'm here pen a letter for my future self. Novel, if you're watching this video right now, here I am, want to talk to you about several things. I know that I'm just nobody right now. I know that I'm just the version of you, maybe the worst version of you. The one who's really weak, the one who is like really incapable, the one who is really not deserve to know you right now. Because I believe in you, in the future of you. You are right now is the best version of you. So I'm having my audacity. I'm having the audacity to talk here. I'm having the guts to talk to you. Even though I'm just the worst version of you. But I believe in you. As always and always. So Novel, I make this video to remind you several things. To just make you up. And every time you watch this video, you're becoming the whole again. And you believe in the future, in your own self again. So, Novel, through this video, I believe right now you are watching this video in a condition, in a position that you already enter the threshold of American education or English speaking country education, which it is one of your biggest dreams. The thing that you never got to there, but finally you made it. And I believe that right now you are watching this video with full of your heart, loves, and I hope it's just like that. Or even if you lose your motivation or you feel like really low, and I hope this video can help you. So Novel, basically this video is talk about one of your favorite ever subjects or major study, which called cross-cultural understanding, in which it also lectured and guided by one of your best lecturers of yours, Mom Lailatul Musharrafah. And I have several points to talk to you. I have several things and several materials that I want to discuss to you. I want you to always remember it. And it's strongly related with the topic CCU. So Novel, I'm writing you and I always believe in you. I always believe in you. So, based on the book of the CCU that you are fully passionate to learn, you have a lot of, like tangible and also beneficial value that you can get from that book. So I want to remind you once again, I divide it into eight main broad topics based on the book of the CCU that you always love to read. So before we enter to that, the way I remind you, I hereby want to talk to you about what is the core of the CCU, what is the objectives. There is a saying that if you are not mastering the culture of the language, therefore you just fool your own self. And the main objectives when you learn CCU is that you are capable to understand the pattern of the language. I mean the pattern of also the core and essential core from that language. For example, you do not learn how to speak in those, for example, in English. But you also learn how the way those people are interact and using the way, that kind of language. So basically, if you understand cross-culture understanding, there is one value that you can get, is that you will be able to tolerate each other. Because on its basis, you understand its beneficial and tangible value. You understand the power of communicating through hearts, because you understand the core version of them. So basically, I want to talk to you that maybe right now you are watching this video and feeling like everything is messed up or everything is not working as the way you think. Remember that when it comes to culture, it's not only about the food, it's not only about, uh, like uniform and also clothes, not always about the language, but deep down it is about the attitudes, the value, the behavior, and all the customs, and also the way people communicate, the way people interact with each other. So it's like an iceberg. What you see is just like the surface, but deep down culture, you really need to master on that before you communicate with other. Or right now you are in America, entering the educational system and entering the educational atmosphere in America or English speaking country. Of course, it is not just always about English. It is always about how that type of English that you speak up is coming from the heart and it is approachable. So first we are going to talk about the cross-cultural contact with America. Novel, talking about cross-cultural contact with American or with America, I hereby remind you of several things that you really need to understand and you have to apply in your heart. When maybe right now you are facing several problems or issues that deals with when you firstly enter the threshold of American society and American, like we are having a friends of American. Remember when you someday notice that the behavior of individuals is just not appropriate as you thought, or it's just not like you think it used to be, or maybe you think that this individual behavior is intolerable and unbearable, and you can even really hold your anger, or your own values and your own perception is not working in the same line or having the connectivity with this behavior of the people. Not this one thing, it is never be okay to generalize, for example, the race, the religion, the sexual orientation of these people, for example. Or you cannot just saying that, for example, all American are like that, all Mexican are like that. That is not okay. That is stereotyping, that is prejudicing. Because notice that individual's behavior is not reflected, personal behavior is not reflected the whole community, the whole culture. You need to notice that you have to differentiate, like which one is called as the mainstream behavior and also which one is the individual's behavior. And even in Indonesia, you see a lot of diversity, right, about behavior. For example, the way people communicate to each other or the way expressing love to each other. Every person is having their own fashion. Even in Indonesia, you really need to understand that. And moreover, you also have to having a mindset that you try to understand. Maybe in Indonesia also you find some majority and also minority. Try to embrace it all. Try to stop to differentiate. For example, you think like the minority does deserve less right than the majority. That is not okay. Stand for whoever they are. Stand for the minority. Respect the majority also. Because once you experience as the minority, you will understand the value of being understood, the value of being listened, the value of being 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 seen as human. So basically, it is really important for you. If one day people ask you to generalize several rights, or even easily prejudice someone, and forgetting the value of the American, and you can easily come to that person and you prejudice them, and then you see them, oh, you're American, and oh, you're a Mexican, that's why you like that. No, try to replace you, or try to replace they as we, because they are human too and you are human too. So there's no such a big deal. There's no such a thing. For example, the people come from this race doing this behavior and then you easily generalize it. That's not okay. That will never be okay. So I just want you to really understand on that first before you are entering to the many layers in American lifestyle or American way of communicating. And I also want to remind you that America is having its own values. Maybe some values is not suitable with the way of you understanding the type of value in Indonesia. Maybe it's really like the opposite. But that is not a big deal for that. What is the big deal? The big deal is that when you cannot differentiate the value of your own homeland and the value of America, and you become bigot, and you become really intolerable, and you become really intolerated, and you become really like become a person that is not really understand each other, and that is not okay. You live in there, you have to adapt. You don't have to like carbon copy, but you have to adapt. Every kind of like diversity, every kind of like the thing that is not common in Indonesia, but you found in there, you have to you have to accept that in a wise manner, because you have to adapt it. So several values, for example, in America is just really high of, like there are the value of independency, the value of individualism, the value of privacy. You really need to understand that. You really need to understand the personal space of the people. You cannot enter the threshold of the personal life of others. And for example, minding others' business. Or even in Indonesia, you just always remember that that is not okay. And also there is a big value of equality and equalitarianism, for example. So basically, if you understand that there is no such as a gap, for example, in America, the value that you are not seen from your social status or even the age gap, people will treat you equally, even for women, for men, or even the people that commit to be trans women, trans man. That is not a big thing. People deserve its right equally. So that's what I'm rooting you, that I want you to wake up and maybe you find something that is uncommon and something that is not, you think, appropriate in Indonesia, but you find it in America. You have to understand that it's just the core of, it's just the value of how American society works. And it is really rude and it is really mean to you if you cannot accept that, if you cannot appreciate that. So I just want you to really understand about that and hold those values, try to respect its values. So that's basically what I want to remind you about the cross-cultural contact with America. Okay, next I'm going to have several lessons and several things that you really need to remember, things that you need to consider when it comes to deal with the cross-cultural conflict and adjustment. So fall, one day when you feel like the life is like a roller coaster, where your depression, where your like passion is mixed, and you cannot even differentiate which one to choose wisely. So I want to remind you that it's just the process. Trust the process. It's just the phase that you have to face. Yeah, you have to face anyway, because it is the only way that makes you grow from it, and it's just natural. It's normal, for example, for you to, like feeling like that and like enter those threshold of, feel like a roller coaster, because in the books of the CCU book, Cross Culture Understanding book, you learn that there's a funny saying that newcomer, for example, only 1 month, they say like everything is beautiful about that country. Newcomer feel like they can survive it, they can make it. But then in the few next month, he thinks that everything is awful and that kind of thing. It is not the country that awful, but it's just the process. And like you will face it anyway. And maybe right now you are watching this video and you seek for welfare, you seek for an excuse to like motivate your own self, like applying the value of America's self-help, and you feel like everything is just like a roller coaster and everything just like not placed in place, like you cannot even find the silver lining, and you cannot even think another rainbow under your constant clouds or everything, or you miss your family, or even you miss your friends, or miss the food of your own homeland, or even if you feel like like you reflect on thing that I miss home so much. But then you always need to understand, and you always need to remember that it's just a phase. And when you enter the barrier, like the door step of the American society, of American lifestyle, or even not only America, it always be the process of adaptating, and that's okay. You're not adjusting, you're adaptating. That's okay, and that's what I want from you. So like there is an adjustment process that is commonly known for a newcomer in America, or in a new country, for example. For the first process is called as the honeymoon phase, or honeymoon, like it feels like a honeymoon. 1 month, 2 month, it feels like heaven. You learn new things, you meet new people, and also you find a lot of some interesting things. For example, you find out the way people communicate, the way people interact with each other, and you find out, you go out to the greatest place, and then you finally enter the new lifestyle. For example, you have to walk every day, and like the clear and fresh air in there, and also the culture of American that really holds about privacy. Or you meeting a lot of people, for example, from South American, North American, and you feel like it is like a honeymoon. You feel like it is like a holiday. It is like the best things anyway. That's just normal. But notice when the second phase comes, the culture shock comes to you, you have to accept it wholeheartedly. There must be some phase, or sometimes you feel like, why it works like that? I disagree with it. I cannot continue it. You might feel like in your head there is a million, trillion, and billion things that you feel like it is not just the way it is. But notice one thing, that is just the phase of culture shock. Every person and everyone will face that anyway. So there is no a big deal for you. And I want you to always remember and notice, set in your mind that the culture shock is just a shock. One day, when you enter the 3 phase, and it is called as the initial adjustment, when you finally feel like, I'm used to it. When you finally feel like, yeah, I can do it. You finally feel like it integrated to your everyday life and integrated to your daily life, and you feel like, oh, okay, I can make it. And yeah, that's just the process. And when you finally enter, like the process of one of the worst process is the mental isolation. You feel like you used to it. You do a daily routine, and maybe and then at the end you hit the phase when you feel like it is enough. I just miss my family, my friends, the people that I used to know. I miss to speak Indonesian freely without even thinking which proper English words. And you might feel like that. Then you isolate yourself. You just miss your daily life in Indonesia. But that's okay. You'll get over it. You will overcome it anyway. So there's no like you have to overly and dramatically really think about that. It's just a phase, and just I really want to talk to you about that because I believe in you more than anyone in this world. I'm the worst version, as I told you, I'm the worst version of you, that rooting you, that believe in you, that put all my focus on you. And no, I promise you that I will work hard, and I'll work harder if I could to finally enter to be your position right now. Notice that. And also the last, when you already face it all the process, you finally accept and integrate it. You finally understand that it's just a process. You finally integrate it within your soul, your mindset, the framework of mind of you, that it is just a process, that it is just how it must be placed to begin with, how it will always be placed to begin with. So you just feel okay and you will accept it benevolently, accept it wholeheartedly, and you feel like, yeah, it's just the process of the adjustment, and I have no fear of that. So one day when you doubt to yourself and you feel like, oh my god, everything is just messed up, notice that always question to yourself your motivation, like your dreams, your passions. You know, when life takes you here, when life brings you in your position right now, it's just the best form of life to show you that you deserve it, right? And taking that change responsibly, wholeheartedly, is the best option. So that's what I really want you to understand when you enter, like those roller coaster phase. It's normal. It is normal. It's really normal. And I hope you can get over it. You can overcome it in a classy way. Hey, well, let's continue to discuss about the topic related to verbal communication, the way people speak, the topic that you presented in the presentation during the CCU class. You already learned about the value of respecting, like women and men differences in communicating. You valuing the way, even in America, North and South America, having its own way of communicating, whether it is heated or hesitant, whether it is directness, whether it is indirectness. You already learned about the value of that. And I want you to notice that do not go back to 1980s mid, when women are prejudiced as the one, women are stereotyping as the one that cannot speak directly or cannot speak truthfully or cannot speak like, back in 1980s, it needs an assertive training for women. Notice one thing, that hold the value of equality, hold the value that every woman, every voice, not based on gender, race, religion, no, but every voice is matter, every voice is important, every voice is need and have to be, every voice has to be understood, has to be listened. And if every voice is just like the most important essential things, the positive one, of course. So notice one thing, that when women, for example, your women college speak up, it is a mandatory for you to respect. It is mandatory not for only women, but all the people from different background, different race, different, like different culture or different value as you. You really need to understand when they able to speak up. You really need to like listen to them, like understanding them without prejudicing and without stereotyping. Notice also one thing, that the value of them, for example, I'm talking to you first about the American male and female differences. For example, there might be some phase that you think that like you feel like you hit the point where you cannot even understand the way people communicate, not based on for example, women and male, but it's just the way how people communicate it. You need to understand that it's just how it works. Remember the day you watch how the high demand of protesting Miss America, for example, when she speaks up to the Miss Vietnam and saying that she cannot speak English well. You might feel in the first that it was rude. It is pretty rude. But notice one thing, that it's just the value of directness. And you have to understand that it's just how they work. It's just how people always work. How American communicate, directness. So next, I'm going to remind you about directness and indirectness, right? Notice one thing, that there is a different way of communicating. For example, for the heated, it's really rapid, really loud, really direct. When they say no, it's no. And also there's some people that choose to go speak in a hesitant way, in which in the hesitant way, some people really fully high consideration, really, like understanding the social status, understanding the age gap, like they really consider what they are going to speak. Both of the way of communicating has its own plus and minus. But you notice one thing, that it is really okay for you to adapt it. You cannot simply just say, I disagree with the way that type of communication. You have to really understand that the most benevolent value is that it's just the way people communicate, and you have to adapt it anyway. So you cannot just choose, oh my god, I want to just speak heated, I want to speak hesitantly. No. The thing is that understand the rival, or understand the pair of you when you are communicating. So now let's talk about the ping pong and also the bowling communication. In Asia or Indonesia, you commonly know the bowling communication wasn't a big deal. But in America, some people think that it is a big deal. Some people cannot hold the ball too long, like the conversation stop too long, more than several seconds. Like it's just the process of understanding the verbal communication. And that is okay. You can just choose wisely. And one thing for sure is that you have to adapt the way you communicate. Of course, because you cannot just like being really ethnocentrism. You feel like the way you're communicating is really superior than other, and that is not okay. That is the thing that is not okay. But understand the ping pong communication and also the bowling communication. Both of it try to apply it wisely, which one to do best and which one to do better. So basically, it depends on you. It depends on you how you manage yourself in communicating. So, yeah, that's the value of verbal communication. I really wrote you, and I really want you to understand that male, female, gender gap wasn't a thing in America, and you really need to understand that, and you really need to nail to your heart, and the way you framework your mind, that the way people communicate doesn't reflect any kind of bad impact or that kind of things. But I think that society is really wide, and you cannot just like being ethnocentrism and then apply that. You think that it is way much more better in my culture. No, you can't do that. Next, follow. I'm going to talk to you and having several things to consider and to think wisely. Talking about non-verbal communication, speaking without words. There are several points you need to always remember, you need to understand. Here, my future self, I really want you to understand about the study in US, 93% of American, or all the people, for example, like transmitting the meaning or their intention, their force, their pure intentions, not through words. Only like 7% of them speaking with words. So understand, for those huge and proliferated number, of course it is really a mandatory for you to understand the non-verbal communication, the way people set the boundary, the way people set that the embodiment of the envision through their non-verbal communication. For example, about the privacy or the bubble of the people. Understand that intimacy is just 4 feet than you, and understand that based on those spaces, you really need to understand that every person have different bubble or the circle, like the personal safe of the circle. Some people feel like it is really okay to get close to each other when they are a close friend or a family or relative. But some people feel it's not, and you really need to understand that, since it is one of the best core, like it is one of the biggest tendency for you to understand that even in Indonesia, like it is always be a thing for the personal space, and you really need to master on that. I also noticed that in America, the smile to a stranger is not a big deal. Like some people smile to each other, but that doesn't mean it is in bad intentions. It doesn't mean it is like try to shame you and everything. No, it's just the core of them, and it's just the way they interact with new people. And also notice that the non-verbal emotions. Always remember that every person in this world has different way of expressing emotions. For example, in Indonesia, it is common to see people expressing their emotions through social media, Instagram, WhatsApp, and that kind of things. But some countries feel like it is a shame, feel like it is not appropriate things to do to expressing emotions, such as in China and Japan. But in Arab, it's okay. And based on the spaces, you need to understand that it is not a big deal for you to prejudice someone when they are expressing emotion. It's just the way it is, and you have to understand it wholeheartedly. Moreover, I also want to talk about the silent language. When people every person has their own ways of communicating, and some people think that going silent is the best option. Therefore, you should need to understand that personal space. You should need to understand that it's just the core of it, and there is no such as a big deal for shaming them. For example, just because they are applying a silent language doesn't mean that they didn't want to talk to you, that they don't want they are rude to you. No, that's not the core of it. Okay, Fall, let's continue to the relationship, friends and acquaintances. Notice one thing, that you think connect with the same people that as the same homeland as you. For example, one day you enter the American society and you find friends in there only for Indonesian who is school or work in America. You might feel like it is lesser hard or lesser, lesser causing problems. But the thing that you need to notice is that it's just not how it works. You need to create friendship, networking, and also circle as big as possible, as productive as possible, as positive as possible. And you might feel like it is okay to speak only with Indonesian because they will understand you more. No, no, no. The things that you need to notice is that try to find new friends, try to understand their perspective, try to adapt their culture, try to having specific observation of their culture. And several values that you can get will be very beneficial for you. For example, the value of being on time, the value of being a walker, healthy lifestyle, the value of speaking directness when saying no is not a rude things to do. Try to understand, try to make a friendship as wide as possible, not only for Indonesian or Asian only. And also notice that the word friend in America can be really wide. It can be a college friend, it can be your neighbor, it can be your in the club or organization friend, it can be everything. But the thing notice that same as Indonesia, they have their own closer friend, and of course they treat them differently. But there is a diversity in the way the opposite sex or opposite gender connect to each other. That is common in Indonesia or several Asian countries, that there is a strike, I mean not strike, but a particular gap that needs to be put between woman and man. And you understand that value. But in America, you have no authority to persecute them, to judge them, because you will meet a lot of person that living together, and that is not a big deal, that is not a thing, that is not a problem. It's just the way decision that they made, for example. Because in women and men relatively free in America to expressing themselves and to connect to each other. Some people without the romanticize or the sexual interest can live together in one roof, in one place, and that's okay in America because the way they, as long as it is their closer friends, it is not a big deal. Furthermore, like maybe some countries or your own homeland think that it is inappropriate things to do, but always remember that it is just the process of understanding, and that's okay. It's just the variety of this world that you have no authority to complain it. Just try to understand. If you disagree with that value, just hold it within your mind, not like persecuting someone, because that is not always be okay. And also understand that maybe you finally find an American friend or like people from other country. You think that, oh my god, they forget me so easy. Not this one thing, it's just the mobility of friendship in those type of people. American is usually moving really quickly, and creating a friendship is not a big deal, or even like losing a connection is not a big deal because the mobility value of it. And also understand that the cross culture of friendship is really important, as I told you earlier. And also understand that like it is just the process of creating a friendship. The most important thing is that you have to be always tolerable for everyone. You have to be always understand everyone, no matter who they are, no matter what the background they have, no matter the way they are interacting, the way they define their closer friends or that kind of thing. So that's what I want you to understand in the value of creating a friendship in America. Next, I want to remind you and talk to you about the family types and tradition in America. For example, the lesson you learn in CCU book. Notice one thing, that in the America, the word family is really wide, is really, it's really not only the way in Asian society commonly sees it. For example, in America, the value is really different, but it is okay. The tradition is really different, but it is okay. For example, the parents in America is really emphasizing on self-esteem and individualism. For example, they knock their sons or daughter door, bedroom door first before they're entering, to understand and to set and to grow the the understanding of the value of individualism and privacy. So that is okay if you find your friends, or even hopefully, or not hopefully, I mean even in the future there's a possibility you enter or you live with a family from American or English speaking country. You always need to understand those values as well. So you need to understand that it's just the way people, and it's just the way tradition. For example, your friend is really individualistic or really having a high self-esteem. You are willing to understand it's just the tradition of those people, and that's okay. And second of all, I want to talk about maybe the possibility for you to meet a partner of yours is an American, for example. Understand that women in American is really how the value of feminist, is really how the value of equality, is really how the value of working wives. When people come in, or you are having a relationship with working wives, for example, they are having a good facility in America, having a good facility to understand. And you need to understand that it's just the value of them. If they want to go work, if they hold the value of feminism, value of equality, it's just the basis of the American people usually think. It's just the basis of American always have its own perspective. And that's okay. That's really okay. And for the other, it's just understand the diversity of family. You think that in Indonesia it is really common that the marriage or the couple or the parents is women and man. But notice one thing, that the family tradition and family types, due to the legalization in the same-sex marriage in America, you really need to respect and understand that some people or some children having two dads or two moms or even moms and dad or even just a single parent, that is okay. It's just the beauty in the diversity, and you have to understand that. You have to respect every person's choices, every person's like the diversity is just what matters the most, understanding the diversity. So that's basically what I want to remind you about the family types and traditions of America. Next, let's talk about education. It's like about the values and also the expectations in education system in America. So basically, if we talk about the education in America, it is really the embodiment of the proper honor system. It is really advanced, it's really good, and like it's really big for a fish out of water, but that's okay. I mean, for non-speaking country students, it becomes a big challenge. I'm not saying it's hard, but it becomes a big challenge, and I believe you are, Fall, right now, becoming one of those students. And I want you to notice that you really need to understand that in America, in educational system of America, participation is not like overt, but participation is expected. I repeat, participation is not like the option you have to do, but it is expected. You have to actively participate it during the class. You have to like initiating a question, you have to like offering a question, maybe add some answers and that kind of things, because it is expected as a student. It becomes one of your score. And also notice one thing, that in America honor system, for example, plagiarism, like seated in like faking the source or the bibliography will become a very big problems. And you have to notice that it is not okay to cheat, to disobey the honor system, or even in Indonesia you hold that value, right? And I believe you can do that. Just put the best as you can, and I believe in you, you can do that. When you enter the educational system of America, please being the best version of you, the creative version of you, the innovative version of you, because cheating is not who you are, and I believe in that. And then last is that learn student cooperative in America. They are more understanding that they're competitive and also cooperative. In Indonesia, the educational system right now, currently in 2019, emphasize and relies on the cooperative teaching. But that is one thing that you have to really understand, Fall, is that how in the value of this American educational system, you really need to understand. And it is okay if you feel like there is a competitive. It is okay if you feel like it is time for cooperative. That's just the basics that you have to master. Really need to understand that what I really want you is just one thing, that honor system is everything. Plagiarism checker is everywhere right now. And I always want you to notice, hold the version of you right now that always try to appreciate all the written works, all the literature works of the others. Just put them in the bibliography if you see it from them. Understand the ABA style, understanding, or maybe the current, right now you are watching this, the current format or style. Understanding the value of respecting the writers, the researchers, by putting them in the bibliography. It is really okay for you to go honest, because even though it is sometimes quite hard and takes too much time, but it is worth it. Notice one thing, that you are who you are when no one's watching. And notice one thing, that when you want to be respected, try to respect others first. So based on the really simple things, try to see that it legally, try to put the name of the written works, do not cheat, do not copy paste, and just do the best you can, because you are the future educational people, and that you are educated people, of course, as well. Lastly, well, I want to talk about work practices and attitudes in America. Understand that work ethic in America, and also the networking and the personal create branding in America. When you finally someday or right now you enter the threshold of the working life of America, you want to create a job opportunities, you want to take the job opportunities. Nothing one thing that opportunities is rarely knocks on your door. You have to go out and find that opportunities. Same with that framework. I really want you to know this, that when you are becoming a worker in America, and when you are finally being like having a title or having a job in several companies in a company in America, you really need to understand the way they are forming the like the condition of the working condition. For example, in America, it is not rude, it is not like inappropriate to say you don't understand for your college. It is not a big deal if you think that, oh my god, I don't understand what you're saying, can you repeat? It's okay, you can say that. They will respect you anyway. And also remember one thing, before you are being the like employee, you will face several things, right? For example, from the job search, you have to make a preparation. For example, the first step is preparation. In preparation, you really need to prepare everything. I mean, you identify what kind of skills that you are going to be used as the job skill or the job desk that you will have. You will need to suitable like the one that is suitable for you. Understand, in America, you have to work really hard for it to get a job. You have to work fully to get a job, because notice one thing, that there's no such a specific negotiation for a silver platter, or you are having a connection, or you have a relative from that place. No, it is not a thing in America. You have to work hard, you have to enter the selection and that kind of thing. Secondly, you also need to create a networking, of course, because you work with people, you work with humans. You are mandatory to have, you are having a mandatory to create a good networking, and you have to be well understood in creating a networking. Third, you have to create the resume development, of course. First, you need to understand that resume is really important. The way you communicate in online can be also your online resume. The way you are interacting in online, on what kind of content that you usually post in social media. Notice one thing, please always post positive content file. Please always refuse any kind of like the possibility of breaking your personal branding. Understand that it's going to be a very sustainable effect. For example, what you do online will be your forever resume. What you do online is something that is not easily erased, so please be wise. Lastly, interview. What I want from you when you are doing an interview, right, is for sure that first, you have to really need to create a good impression. For example, your polite shoes, your well-dressed suit and tie, fresh breed, and also use not a strong smell perfume, and also cut and trim your hair well. And that's just like, when you create a first impression, you give a concise and a concise decisions. For example, the one who interviewing you, they will be able, oh, this people is really well managed to their own personal life, and that's really important for you to create that, especially in America, because good impressions is just the start of the numerous possibility for you. So please make a good impression as well. And what I really want you to notice is that when you finally entering the working system or the working atmosphere in America, notice one thing, that you are, as I told you, in the classroom, you are expected to be well and actively participating to that kind of meeting. For example, you are needed to asking a question, initiating a discussion, or even having personal thought, opinion that is really important for you. And that's what I want you is that you always play that in your mind, that it is mandatory for you, for example, to say that and to initiating a question and to be actively participated during the meeting. So yeah, that's basically the value that you really need to heart and understand in work. For example, the work ethic you need to apply in America, or when you enter the American working system or work ethic. And also the last is that I really want you to understand is that notice one thing, when in America it is not who you are. For example, if people asking you about your job, they're not talking, you're not asking who you are, and you answer I'm a teacher, no, but they are asking how do you do, I mean what are you doing. It's more doing than being. So that is the value of America. It is more what you do, what is the contribution that you give. It is not about who are you. And also notice that in America there is something that is commonly known as a workaholics. You meet some people that is workaholic, that's okay. You have no authority to like protest to them and just giving them an useless advice. For example, you think like you should enjoy life more and you don't have to work out. That is rude. Don't do that. It's the decision that people make, because in America they really hold the value of dedication, the value of hard working, because they are seeking for tangible beneficial impact, in which incentive and also money, for example, for sure. So basically that is the 8 points of lessons from the CCU cross-cultural understanding that I want to remind you, and I made the video Dear My Future Self, is to wake you up that fall, you are not alone, you still have me. I'm the version of you, I live always beside you, within you. Even though I'm just really weak, I'm worse, I'm not smart, I'm just not really capable, I'm just really emotionally unstable, but I have my audacity, I have my guts, I have my, like the bravery. I speak to you right now, and I believe you are right now the best version of you, the greatest version of you, and I have my own, like who I am. I'm brave enough to speak to you right now. It means that you are a great person right now. And please always remember all the good lessons, the wonderful classroom experience you experienced with your favorite lecturer, Mom Laila Musharraf, and all your beloved friends. The way you discuss, you actively participated. Notice one most benevolent value that you can learn is that when you are finally enter the American system, you become a tolerable person. You understand the value of diversity, you understand the value of tolerating each other. Dear my future self, I know I'm not good enough. I know I'm not wise enough. I know I'm just nobody. But I talk to you bravely. But I talk to you wholeheartedly. But I talk to you consciously. But I talk to you with all the minimum capacity that I have right now. I believe in you, and I'm forever your #1 support system. I live in you, and I will be the one who will be really angry if you give up in life. So I also want to send my deepest appreciation, my greatest appreciation to my wonderful and greatest lecturer, Mom Laila Musharraf, for all the lessons, the values that shaped me to be who I am today. And I'm forever grateful to be your son, your student, and I'm just really happy to enjoy the CCU class because it opens my mind more wide, more benevolently. Thank you, Mom Laila.